Hello everyone, and welcome back to our channel. Today, we're diving deep into one of history's most epic and heart-wrenching tales. It's a story that has captivated the world for over a century, a story of ambition, luxury, unimaginable tragedy, and the countless human moments that unfolded in between. This is the story of the RMS Titanic. The year is 1912. The world is on the cusp of a new era, buzzing with innovation and optimism. And rising from the shipyards of Belfast, Ireland, is the physical embodiment of this dream. The Royal Mail ship, Titanic. She wasn't just another ship. She was a floating palace, the largest and most luxurious passenger liner ever conceived. Hailed as a marvel of modern engineering, the Titanic was fitted with the most advanced technology of its time. From its watertight compartments to its powerful wireless communication system, she was, as many famously declared, practically unsinkable. As she prepared for her maiden voyage from Southampton to New York City, the entire world watched in awe and excitement. The Titanic wasn't just a vessel, it was a symbol of human achievement, a testament to how far we had come. But the true story of the Titanic isn't just about steel and steam. It's about the people who walked her decks. The ship was a microcosm of society, a floating city carrying over 2,000 souls, each with their own story, their own hopes, and their own dreams. In first class, the wealthiest and most influential figures of the era resided in unparalleled opulence. We're talking about millionaires like John Jacob Astor Ivy, industrialist Benjamin Guggenheim, and Macy's Conner Isidore Straus. They lived in lavish suites, some with their own private promenades. They dined in a grand hall that rivaled the finest restaurants in Paris, strolled through elegant lounges, and enjoyed the amenities of a gymnasium, a swimming pool, and even a Turkish bath. For them, the Titanic was the ultimate expression of their status and a luxurious playground on the sea. Travel down a few decks, and you'd find yourself in second class. This was the world of the comfortable middle class. Professionals like teachers, clergymen, and engineers, as well as tourists and small business owners. Their accommodations were comparable to first class on many other ships of the day. They had their own library, a handsome dining saloon, and a dedicated promenade deck. They enjoyed good food, comfortable cabins, and a sense of excitement and adventure, sharing the journey with like-minded travelers. And then, in the heart of the ship, was third class, or steerage. This was where the dream of a new life burned brightest. Here, hundreds of families from Ireland, England, Scandinavia, Italy, and Eastern Europe were packed together, leaving everything they knew behind. They were farmers, laborers, and artisans, all clutching a one-way ticket to America, the land of opportunity. While their quarters were modest, they were clean and far better than steerage on other liners. Their spaces were filled with the sounds of folk music, laughter, and the chatter of dozens of different languages, all united by a common hope for a better future. On-board life was a vibrant tapestry of human experience. Children's laughter echoed in the hallways as they played tag. The ship's talented musicians filled the air with beautiful melodies, from lively ragtime to elegant waltzes. New friendships were forged on the sprawling decks as people from different worlds shared stories under the vast Atlantic sky. There was a palpable sense of optimism and wonder. For everyone aboard, from the wealthiest industrialist to the humblest immigrant, this voyage was the beginning of something new. No one could have possibly imagined the catastrophic tragedy that was lurking just days ahead, hidden in the icy darkness of the North Atlantic. The night of April 14, 1912, was unnervingly calm and bitterly cold. The sea was like a mirror, reflecting a sky blanketed with stars, but without a moon. Deep in the freezing waters, a colossal iceberg, ancient and silent, drifted directly into the Titanic's path. Despite multiple ice warnings received throughout the day, the ship continued to sail at a high speed. Then, at 11:40 p.m., the lookouts spotted a dark mass dead ahead. The warning bell rang, the engines were thrown into reverse, and the helm was turned hard over, but it was too late. The massive ship couldn't turn quickly enough. The iceberg grazed along the starboard side, not with a massive crash, but with a subtle, grinding shudder that many passengers barely noticed. At first, there was no widespread panic. On the upper decks, some passengers felt a slight jolt and came out of their cabins, curious. Some even joked about it, picking up pieces of ice that had fallen onto the forward well deck. The ship was so immense, so seemingly invincible, that the idea of any real danger felt impossible. But below the waterline, a fatal wound had been inflicted. The iceberg had punched and buckled the steel plates along a 300-foot stretch, breaching 6 of the ship's 16 watertight compartments. Water began pouring in at an alarming rate. The ship's designers had planned for the worst, but not this. The Titanic could stay afloat with 4 compartments flooded, but not 6. The unsinkable ship was, in fact, sinking. Her fate was sealed. As the crew assessed the damage, a horrifying reality set in. The ship had, at most, a few hours left. The order was given to uncover the lifeboats and muster the passengers on deck. Slowly, the initial calm gave way to confusion, and then to a growing, creeping sense of dread. The ship began to list, a subtle but undeniable tilt that sent a chill through everyone. On deck, chaos began to unfold in slow motion. Families clung to each other, their faces etched with a mixture of disbelief and terror. Some people prayed, some cried, while others simply stood in stunned silence, refusing to accept what was happening. The starkest and most tragic flaw of the Titanic was now laid bare. There weren't enough lifeboats for everyone. The ship was legally equipped with enough boats for just over half the people on board. The evacuation was fraught with confusion and heartbreaking decisions. The women and children first protocol was enforced, but inconsistently. Some lifeboats were launched dangerously, underfit with crewmen desperately trying to persuade women to leave the perceived safety of the massive ship for a tiny boat in the freezing dark. Husbands and fathers said their last goodbyes, urging their families into the boats, knowing they would likely never see them again. Brave men stood back, sacrificing their own chance at survival. As the bow dipped lower and the stern rose high into the air, the ship's lights flickered, casting an eerie glow on the horrific scene. And through it all, one of the most enduring legends of the Titanic was born. The ship's band, led by Wallace Hartley, assembled on deck and began to play. They played cheerful tunes to keep spirits up, then calming hymns as the end drew near. Their music was an act of incredible bravery, a final, beautiful defiance in the face of death. Then, in the early morning hours of April 15th, the immense stress on the ship's structure became too much. With a deafening roar that echoed across the silent ocean, the Titanic broke in two. The stern rose almost vertically into the night sky, a dark silhouette against the stars. Before it, two plunged beneath the waves, disappearing forever into the icy abyss. She took with her more than 1,500 souls, men, women, and children. For the survivors huddled in the scattered lifeboats, the sounds of the sinking were followed by an even more horrifying sound, the cries of hundreds of people in the freezing water, a sound that would haunt them for the rest of their lives. They watched in helpless silence, their hearts broken, their lives forever altered by the tragedy they had just witnessed. The next morning, the rescue ship, the RMS Carpathia, arrived to a devastating scene. They found the lifeboats floating amidst a field of ice and debris. They pulled the survivors from the boats exhausted, shivering, and wrapped in a profound state of shock. These few hundred survivors became the voice for the thousands who had been lost, their stories ensuring that the tragedy of the Titanic would never be forgotten. The story of the Titanic is so much more than just a shipwreck. It is a powerful, timeless story about people. It's about the hubris of thinking we can conquer nature, and the humility we learn when we fail. It's about the courage of those who sacrifice themselves for others, the fear of those facing an unthinkable end, and the dreams that were extinguished in the cold Atlantic waters. It's a stark reminder that in moments of crisis, our character is revealed, and that wealth, class, and status mean nothing in the face of mortality. Today, more than a century later, the wreck of the Titanic rests peacefully on the ocean floor, a silent monument to all that was lost. But its story lives on in our collective memory, a cautionary tale that teaches us to value every precious moment of our lives to hold on to hope, even in the darkest of times, and most importantly, to cherish the people we love. Thank you for joining me on this journey back in time. I hope this story touched you and gave you something meaningful to reflect on. If you found this video insightful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more inspiring stories from history. Take care, stay curious, and we'll see you in the next one.